Coming up next, Jake Menzel sings the praises of Johnny Tremain. Hey everybody, welcome to the Bookening. My name is Nathan Albertson, your humble and obedient host. I was very excited about this episode today, and then I realized that sometimes when I'm really excited about an episode, it doesn't go as well as I want it to because my expectations are through the roof for it. Whereas if I'm just generally excited, generally it's pretty good, and I always am excited to talk to my good friend Brandon Chasteen.
Hey.
The scholar who's a baller of reading.
Yeah.
And my good friend Jacob Menzel, the pastor who's a master of reading.
Hey.
But I'm keeping my expectations in check for this one. I think it's going to be good. We're going to talk about a book that we intentionally put on the list to mock and deride. We thought it would be this year's Ready Player One.
Or
Wrinkle in Time.
Wrinkle in Time. But there was a wrinkle in our plans.
I was going to say the same thing.
Were you going to say the same thing?
Yeah.
Wow. Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
And that Johnny Tremain's not that bad. Certainly not worthy of mocking just in order to be a mocker.
No.
It's pretty good, actually.
It's good.
It is good.
Which leaves us maybe with less to say about it. I'm not sure exactly what one says about Johnny Tremain.
That it's good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good. Whatever.
I've got things to say about
Jake's got
Johnny
things
Tremain.
to say. Jake was born to talk about Johnny Tremain.
Jake's going to carry this episode because I don't have much to say.
What a high calling.
The chosen one.
This was the episode Jake
You
was
were born,
made
my
for.
son, to talk about Johnny Tremain.
Some of us are born to speak about the great things of this world. Some of us are born to do great things in this world.
And then the third category.
Some
You, however, are born
to
to speak the praises of Johnny Tremain.
Let's talk about Johnny T.
Let's do it.
Our main man,
Yeah.
Tremain. You know what? One of the things that actually came back to me about why I didn't like this book as a kid, or obviously we're gonna have to talk about the baggage that we brought, because I think we all had negative associations. True or false? We all had negative associations with Johnny Tremain.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like
All
this
kinds of
this
them.
is a stupid book from our childhood. That's how we would have thought of it.
I read it with Wrinkle in Time, like back to back in 5th grade. Same teacher, same experience. Hated them both. Probably loved Wrinkle in Time, liked Wrinkle in Time better than Johnny Tremain. Boy, was I dumb.
Yeah, because Wrinkle in Time, what a bummer that was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wrinkle in Time can take its Tesseract and take a long walk in the sticks.
Yeah, it sure can.
Johnny Tremain, on the other hand,
It's a good book.
it's a pretty good book.
It's a
fine.
good book.
It's good.
I wonder what our listeners are thinking.
I'm contending
right now.
that it's good.
All right, no,
I'm not even giving fine or okay. I'm contending it's good.
Well, I'm not going to put it up there with like the Bible, for example. Pretty sure
Oh.
that was that what you were
Good
arguing.
job, you. Yeah. That's,
Would you put it up there with Shakespeare, Jake?
you know,
We're backing him into a corner, Brandon.
you guys, you caught me. I was coming in prepared to put Esther Forbes in the pantheon alongside Shakespeare, Tolstoy, and Austen.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I think that might have been the wrong move there, Jake.
Really? Why? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Uh-oh.
To try and put Esther Forbes with Shakespeare?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's the wrong move because you're going to crap up Esther Forbes with all that poetry crap?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Who even understands Shakespeare today?
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
you convinced
forget
me. There we go.
Shakespeare.
To read or not to read? Not.
And who actually understands Tolstoy? Only Russians, probably.
That's true. We only have him in translation.
At least Esther
So-
Forbes wrote in English.
Yeah, there's a lot that's been lost in translation with him.
Esther Forbes?
Tolstoy.
Oh, Tolstoy, yeah.
So, yeah.
Nothing's lost in translation
So
to Esther
basically-
Forbes.
I mean, and Shakespeare basically wrote in another language anyway. So basically, Esther Forbes better than
know what?
Shakespeare and Tolstoy.
I'm too tired to
For
even fight
modern
this
readers.
today. Put her
Boom.
up there. Mount
win.
Rushmore of the Bookening.
Esther Forbes? She's
Yeah.
all by herself?
she's
Just Forbes?
just kind of leaning up there, kind of like across a piano, like those ladies doing the red satin gowns. She's leaning across there.
What on earth did you just say? And what?
I don't know, Nathan.
Wait, who are these ladies in these red satin gowns leaning against pianos?
Across
in your life,
pianos,
Brandon?
like in the 20s.
Oh, like
You know what
one
I'm
of- like
talking
a
about?
dame.
Like a dame.
Yeah, abroad. One of those
Yeah.
kinds of ladies.
One of those kind of
Okay.
ladies.
What does
yeah.
that have to do with Mount Rushmore?
What a weird reference.
I'm saying she can take up the whole mountain by we'll just have like she's laying across there.
She's laying horizontally
You know,
Yeah.
instead of a,
Several
her
things.
face.
Number one, if a day passes and I don't think about a lady in a red dress on a piano, that's a strange day.
Well, that's why I made the reference, Nathan.
I think
knew-
the
knew
statistic
it would-
is that scientists have found that Nathan thinks about that every 5 minutes.
Okay.
Secondly, when I think Mount Rushmore,
Yeah.
I then think
Yeah.
lady in a red dress on a piano.
You want to know my thinking, Nathan? I was trying to think, how could we get it to where she's taking up the whole mountain if she's going to be the only one there?
Okay.
Because it's a long mountain. She
Is
can't
it?
just have a big. We can't make her face all oblong.
Okay, so we're gonna so Esther Forbes is gonna be the lady in the piano.
Yeah.
That was on
You
Mount
get it now?
Rushmore.
So there's gonna be a Mount Rushmore of Esther Forbes
And
in
you
a
said it,
slinky red
and
dress
you're the one
on a
who said it
piano.
was just going to be her.
That's his plan.
Not so.
Don't get me wrong. If I could carve Esther Forbes in a red dress into the side of a giant mountain, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But
Who wouldn't?
I mean, that's like the classic American story, isn't
You
it?
gave me a plot difficulty, Nathan. Okay, I was trying to do something with it. You said that her face was going to be the only one on Mount Rushmore,
Her face.
but it's a long mountain. You know, there's going to be 3 empty spots. So we take her face, we put it down on the one spot, and then we take the other faces and we turn that into a body.
Now, Jake just showed us a picture of Esther Forbes, and the fact is, she looks like a perfectly pleasant woman.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
man.
does not.
She seems like a nice old lady.
She doesn't seem like Vixen in a red dress material, though.
Do you think
that's a
any of our
humorous thought.
amazing artists could give us their rendition of what this might look like?
No.
By the way,
Don't
though,
do that.
we do have
No.
some artwork we need to talk about real quick.
Yeah.
Several things actually. We need to address a couple things here. What order do we want to go? Let's talk about the youngest person that made us something first.
So the first thing, it wasn't really made for us.
No, it was made for
Sorry, it was made
you.
for me personally.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Thanks
Big
a lot,
deal.
Junia. Sorry, I don't connect with kids as well because I don't have any, and I'm a nerd.
Yeah, sorry
Ow.
that Nathan's a nerd.
Junia wrote me a book.
Yeah, Junie
wrote a
being
book-
the daughter of Jane Katie, who are cold and love
Jane
cheese, and
Katie, who
also
are Cold and
C.S.
Love
Lewis,
Cheese, yeah.
including Till We Have Faces.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got to go up and be with some of our friends in Madison, and actually we even had somebody from Milwaukee area come
Oh,
over
nice.
and say hi. I don't know, a couple weeks back.
Yeah, probably about 3 weeks now, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, everything with this coronavirus stuff has thrown everything out of whack.
Yeah,
in terms of timing and things in my brain.
I guess it's worth saying for the listener, this is the first episode we've recorded since things got a little bit more thingish. So
Yeah, and by the time this drops, who knows where they'll be.
yeah, exactly.
But things could be back to normal. Things could be crazy, awful. Who knows?
We could be hunkered in a bunker somewhere.
Hunkered in a bunker.
Hunkered in a bunker.
Poet and
I'm aware of that fact.
And you
Yeah.
know what? We could all be in the studio
Anyhow.
together, the 3 of us, just living off, trying to survive the apocalypse, making podcasts.
Yep.
like matinee.
Yeah,
We could be at Mount Rushmore.
like Mount Rushmore. That's right. Nathan's going to be in a slinky red dress.
The slinky red dress. Wait, why do I have to be in the slinky red dress?
I don't know.
Why does anyone have to be in a slinky red dress?
I don't know.
Okay,
So, Junia,
So while I was there, I got
let
to-
me just say to the folks, it's going to be one of those kinds of episodes. So,
I have lots of things to say about Johnny Tremain.
Okay,
and I was not being sarcastic when I said it's a good book.
Okay, no, I'm not either. I like Johnny Tremain. Anyway.
I liked it. I just don't have a lot to say about it.
I have all the things to say. I probably have
great.
like things to say about
It's
it.
going to be Jake's episode.
It was
guys.
good. It'll be like one of those essays by a 4-year-old.
I really liked it.
Okay, anyway, Junia.
I was up in Madison, and I got to hang out with a bunch of friends up there. Some that we met when we went up to go do our live show.
Yeah.
I came back with some artwork. So I've got, and it's actually posted on the wall right as you walk into the studio. As you open the door, right there is a picture from our live show mounted on, and I forget what they're called, but this is like a tile art type thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very
Did you
cool.
miss it when you walked in?
I don't think I saw it.
Well, Brandon, there's a picture of you, among other things.
Oh,
At eye level as you walk through the door.
Well,
You're wearing a slinky red dress.
I
As you
forgot
do.
that I did wear that.
So that was a gift from Jay and Katie, who are cold and love cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And then Junia, who
The daughter of cheese.
the daughter of cheese. I got to hang out
Tracks.
with all of them, but Junia wrote a book and illustrated a book for me,
Nice.
and I actually had it in my bag to bring here tonight to read and make a video and show our patrons, but I lost my bag. But my wife found it at home. So
Yeah.
it's not lost forever. And
Little drama there.
but there was some drama, and so I don't have it with me tonight. But maybe next time I'll come, and I'll probably our patrons will get a video of me reading the book and showing it's a very well crafted book.
By the way, patrons' videos may be a little thin for the next couple of weeks. You do the math on why that may or may not be.
Also, I'd like to say, Junia, if you were to ever write me a book, I would not lose it.
Right.
The book is not lost.
Junie, if you write me a book, I'll review it on the Bookening with my usual charity and graciousness towards every book that we review.
Yeah.
I think we should review this book.
I'm looking forward to it.
Brandon will be like,
Anyhow.
subpar.
Anyhow, it's I think
That was a
Junia,
joke, Junie, if you're listening.
I think we're going to love it.
I've seen it. It's really cool.
I'm excited to read
Yeah.
this.
Nathan's had a chance to see it already
Yeah.
and read it, but this is the first time I've seen Brandon since then. And so, anyhow, it's not long, but it is well illustrated and it is very punny,
Did you say
clever.
punny?
Mhm.
Yep, very punny. and
Junie,
clever.
a well-known master of the form.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love a good pun.
Yeah.
I think she's in second grade,
Nice.
maybe first grade. I could be wrong about that, but I think she's in second grade, and I think that you will be impressed.
I am looking forward to reading it. We will definitely have to have an episode where we review this.
Yeah, we will.
I was certainly impressed.
Yeah.
Well, that's thing number one. Now,
Yeah.
we've also got 2 works of art, fan art.
We do.
Technically, even more works of fan art.
Yeah, that's
if you
true.
wanna consider-
Two groupings of
Yeah.
fan art.
So we have 2 fantastic submissions to the Beaver and Spider in Outer Space.
You remember the moment where Brandon said something about a beaver and a spider
Yeah.
in outer space?
Thought about my wonderful science teacher who allowed me to write stories instead of essays because she was a great teacher.
And I said, hey, somebody should draw that. And, I was expecting maybe some pencil sketches or
No,
You know.
that's not what we got.
a charcoal at best.
Yeah.
But we got like full on works of art. Like our fans are some talented people.
We have some very talented artists out there, artists that are worthy of illustrating a children's book, I dare say.
hmm
it was a great moment. It's one of those
designing T-shirts. I think we might need to reach out to some of these fans to design our next T-shirt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's really cool when you're doing something like this to have that interaction with your fans to make you realize, wow, there are people out there who are listening and care. It's great.
Yeah, it makes us feel super loved.
Yeah.
So one of these came in as a piece of graphic art, and it is beautiful and fun, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
looks like it's taken out of a top-notch children's book.
Yep. Once again, it's a picture of a beaver and spider in outer space.
Yeah, and we'll post these. These have to be posted on social, not just for patrons, right?
I think so.
So yeah,
Should
follow-
we
follow us
wait
on-
till there's going to be a poem that goes with them?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
We'll publish them with the poem, and then we got somebody actually sent us a painting in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
So that first submission was by Emily, and I think Emily needs a special shout out in this episode, maybe even a name.
Yep.
And the second one is from the Matt Man.
Matt Man.
Matt Man?
That the very same,
Matty Matt Man?
the very same.
That Matt Man.
That
Yeah.
Matt Man.
Matt Man.
And he made us a painting, wall art that we can hang of, again, a spider and a beaver in outer space. And he also sent us this really cool, like, Russian doll
Yeah.
painting.
Yeah.
Of me and Nathan and Brandon.
We're all
And-
nesting inside of Jake.
I am the largest.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the tallest.
Yeah, which
I wouldn't
is-
say that I was the largest.
Which is realistic. I think everything's realistic.
Our-
Got Brandon's giant Russian beard,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much so.
I mean, I famously
It's
grow
pretty
huge beards.
It's pretty realistic.
Yeah. We like to wear those poofy Russian hats, whatever those
Yeah.
things are called.
We do look very...
This is some of the coolest fan art that we've gotten.
Yeah, no.
That's pretty awesome. I would
It's
like
amazing.
to...
And so we get letters and cards and things from time to time, but to
Yeah.
have fan art and to then be able to take, like, I'm looking forward to just hanging this stuff up around,
Yeah.
No, this is really fun.
Yeah, this is
We'd love
cool.
to get stuff like this. People keep
So,
sending us things.
If
Yeah.
you are talented in the visual arts, I mean, these people are getting poems. So
What I like about it's really cool that creative people are listening and then getting inspired to send us things they've created for us.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is really, it really made our day.
And especially thoughtful things like
multiple
that,
times.
like in response to the spider and the beaver story, or this one with the Russian dolls,
Mhm.
obviously with the Tolstoy and stuff references. It's pretty cool. And the
Yeah.
text above it is really awesome. The bookenings
oh yeah, the way that
kind of looks
the Bookening
Cyrillic.
is
Yeah.
painted on, yeah.
We'll put this on our social if
yeah.
anybody's listening to this.
And then some really sweet notes along with all of these pieces of art too. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you guys so much.
A
Yep.
unique challenge. I have
Super
to
cool.
somehow work the line, "Frailty, thy name is Brandon," into the poem.
Yeah. Well, if you don't, then you know what we'll say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Maddie asked for frailty. That name is Brandon.
Yeah, I've already got it figured out. No worries, guys.
Does that bring us to Johnny T?
I think it must.
Leaves us like 5 minutes of Johnny T.
Hey, folks, we cannot emphasize how grateful though we were for those things and how much they made our day when we got them and made our week and made our collective existences. It was really nice.
Well, look, it was a scary week. The week we got both of these pieces of art.
It was,
I'm not talking like on a macro coronavirus is going to kill us all kind of scary. I'm talking just in a very felt, hey, Warhorn is taking some big hits financially because other people are taking hits financially, and I don't know that we're going to get paid. And
I mean, me and Jake were literally thinking about things like what it would be like not to have a job.
but then all our listeners came through very quickly, and then we got this artwork, and it was just like, yeah, okay, we're doing something here that's important.
Mm-hmm.
That's helpful, especially to people in a time like this, and the people are here for us, and
Yeah.
that was comforting and reassuring and touching.
Well, and
was great.
sometimes, it's always tempting when you're talking into a microphone. It's not like we do this in front of an audience. Sometimes you feel falsely like you're sending this stuff out into
Nowhere.
the void, into the black void of space. And so sometimes you get a missive back from the void.
Yeah.
Sometimes the void stares back, and it's always really gratifying.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at stats and things like that, but it doesn't matter what the numbers say. It doesn't hit home until you're interacting with real people.
Right.
And so, anyhow, thank you guys for being. I know that you feel like we're your friends, and you don't get to be our friend, but you're our friends, and
Yeah.
we appreciate it.
Honestly.
Yeah. Very much so.
Well,
we love you all,
Yep. Except for one of you.
except for one. Just one of you.
We're not telling you who.
Yeah.
And also, that's not to dispel any rumors that Nathan does after each episode, takes it in, puts it in a rocket, and launches it out into space.
Oh, yeah.
Just to make sure that it's out there.
Yeah.
So there are hundreds of Warhorn podcasts, thousands just floating around the Earth.
And I
orbiting.
have a giant rocket budget, which is one of the reasons we were worried about
Yeah, probably not the wisest use of money.
finances. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at least those
We
episodes
might
are out
need
there.
to cut. I mean, yeah.
You think we need to cut back on rockets that break the atmosphere and get our podcasts into space?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we're going to see much return from that. I don't know it's doing anybody good.
Maybe
any
the
good
space
up
station
there.
people might
Maybe
get
there's
it.
a beaver or a spider or somebody out there listening, but
Ooh,
This one's for you, Beaver and Spider.
that'd be fun to get a picture of a beaver and a spider listening to
The Bookening.
out in outer space.
That would be fun. Now, Brandon, let's not abuse our power just because we know people will make art.
So
Let's not
You know
pull
what I
that trigger
want?
too often.
one of these rockets is actually labeled Warhorn.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I wonder if this would be a good a way to get like a children's book illustrated. Just start saying ideas. So there's this idea.
If one of you wants to make a woman in a red dress that has replaced Mount Rushmore, then don't. not a good idea.
No,
But
especially Esther Forbes.
Yeah, Esther Forbes specifically. Now,
Yeah.
the business at hand.
Yeah. Esther Forbes.
Esther Forbes and Johnny T.
Yeah.
Brandon,
Yeah.
you are the contextual Texan,
Sometimes I am.
which means that you offer much needed context on these works that we discuss.
I do sometimes.
And I assume you're going to do that today. You keep
I've got-
qualifying it with this sometimes business.
Yeah. I just wanted to make you worried about it.
Oh, no.
Did I succeed? I mean, there's not a whole lot to say. We quickly talk about who Esther Forbes was.
How do you
and-
begin to even capture a life like Esther Forbes? How do you
Well,
sum it up?
According to
for people?
Wikipedia, you can do it in about 6 lines.
Oh, really?
Oh man, that's rich. So this was when I got to go and do some digging around and
Mhm.
finding some things, and so it was fun, whatever. And so she was born in 1891, which makes her a contemporary of C.S. Lewis and J.R. Tolkien.
Tolkien, Lewis, and Forbes, the big three?
Yeah, the big three. If only she had made it over to Oxford with all of those guys. But she was from Massachusetts. Her parents were both historians. Her mother was into like antique restorations and stuff like that. Not ancient history, but just like historical artifacts. That's the word I was looking for. But especially with Americana and stuff like that. And so she had this interest in history, in the stuff of history from a very young age. At the age of 13, she actually began to write her first novel. I'm not sure she ever finished it, but she did start writing her first novel. It was a historical novel. And so this interest in history was with her since childhood, and it came through her parents. Really, there's not a whole lot to say about her beyond that. This love of history stayed with her throughout her life, but there are a few fun things. She liked horseback riding, and then in World War I started. She was born in 1891, so she lived through World War I.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to the University of Wisconsin. She responded by going to Harpers Ferry, Virginia, where she helped on a farm that was making produce for soldiers and stuff like
Nice.
that. And one of the proudest moments, this is a quote from her, one of the proudest moments of my life was when the farmer appointed me as a teamster, which meant that she was over the horses. And so her love of horses stayed with her. I like this fact because my wife likes horses. She's not.
There you go.
She's not dead.
Maybe she stopped liking horses.
No, she still
That would be
likes
the other
horses.
option.
She still likes horses. Quickly after this, she got a job at the editorial staff at Houghton Mifflin, which I think is actually still around.
Well, it's a textbook company.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like every textbook that I ever had growing up was Houghton.
Is Houghton H-O-U?
Hough.
G-H? Yeah.
T-O-N
Yeah.
dash Mifflin.
Sure.
Yeah, I knew I had seen that before. And so while she was there, she gained valuable writing and publishing experience. And then she published her first novel in 1926 called O Gentile Lady.
Oh, gentle lady.
O Gentile.
Ooh.
O Gentile.
Oh, genteel lady.
Red dress lady. And later that year, she also married, and then about a few years later, divorced Mr. Albert Leonard Hoskins Jr., and she would live the remainder of her life with her sister and brother in Worcester, I guess is how you say it. Worcester.
Like the sauce.
Worcester, yeah. But it's soon after that, so after O Gentile Lady, she got her real fame from a book that she published on Paul Revere. And this was in 1942. It was called Paul Revere and the World He Lived In, and it won the Pulitzer Prize.
Oh, wow. Not fiction then.
No, it was not fiction. And so, in fact, this one source I have says that she kept strictly to the facts in this biography. And then she allowed herself to make up nothing. And there's a quote from her: as a sort of reward, I promised myself that sometime I would write a story and make up anything I wanted, as long as I kept it typical for the period. So it's pretty clear where that's headed. She studied Paul Revere. She studied all the time period surrounding him, got her this fame as, in fact, she was awarded a doctorate, honorary doctorate by a college because of her work on the Paul Revere studies. And so she would publish a few more, like she published America's Paul Revere and became kind of a Paul Revere scholar and an American Revolutionary War scholar. But the reward that she gave to herself there was writing Johnny Tremain.
There you go.
So there you have it. It came out of this deep study she did on Paul Revere so that she could write this book that won her the Pulitzer Prize, and she wrote a children's book from these facts that won her the Newbery Award.
There you go.
So quite the decorated woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so just a quick, really the only other thing I wanted to talk about was just to remind people what the Newbery was. It's the most prestigious award given for children's literature. I didn't realize this until this time, doing this research. It's given by the ALA, the American Library Association. So it's actually, it's not just like some random group of people like the Swedish Institute giving out the Nobel Prize, even though they, who are they? They're just a bunch of Swedes that get together and decide to give out this prize. This is actually the American Library Association of American Librarians. And so it's got some heft to it. It's got some actual people who know something about books that give out this award. They wanted to establish the award because they wanted to both award beautiful, well-written children's books and also show people that children's literature deserved to be seen as serious literature.
Sure.
And so this was in the 1920s. Right after they did this, they also started the Caldecott Medal. And so there's a Newbery Caldecott. They go hand in hand.
Those are both ALA, though.
Yeah, and so Caldecott is for picture books. It's for illustrations. Okay. And so you have Newbery that awards the children's literature, and then the Caldecott, which is awarded to illustrators in picture books. So she won the Newbery Award, and yeah. One thing I saw, one of the criticisms of the Newbery Award is that it usually goes to books that are too difficult for children, which I think is probably going to lead into stuff that we have to say about this book.
Yeah,
and so actually I think that might be a fine transition out of the quick and dirty context there for you guys.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys wanted me to add?
No, I don't think so. I think
Good.
this is an important one to do baggage for. What baggage do you guys bring to Johnny Tremain? A very important question, I think. Jake, would you like to start us out?
I read Johnny Tremain in 5th grade. 5th grade was just a hard year in general I think for a lot of reasons. My dad had remarried a year and a half before. We were still settling into a new normal. I was just having some real emotional problems. And I had this teacher who was well known to be the toughest. Her name was Libby Culliver, and she was the Horizons teacher for 5th grade. And we read A Wrinkle at a Time, and we read Johnny Tremain, and she was very challenging. She had very high expectations of she did not let us out of anything, and so it was just hard. It was hard work, and I was a lazy student. And so I hated her, honestly. I read Johnny Tremain in 5th grade. 5th grade was just a hard year in general I think for a lot of reasons. One, my dad had remarried a year and a half before. We were still settling into a new normal. I was just having some real emotional problems dealing with things with my parents' divorce. And I had this teacher who was well known to be the toughest teacher in the school. And just had a reputation and well-deserved. Her name was Libby Culliver. We were in, it was called the Horizons program. So it was a pull-out program for gifted and talented is what it used to be called, but they renamed it because they didn't want other people to feel bad. And she was the Horizons teacher for 5th grade. And we read A Wrinkle at a Time, and we read Johnny Tremain, and she was very challenging. She had very high expectations of us. She did not let us out of anything. And so it was just hard. It was hard work. And I was a lazy student. And so I hated her, honestly. I thought I hated her, but I don't know. Because she had high expectations for me, and she believed in me and made me feel like she had high expectations for me personally and believed in me personally and wasn't going to let me make excuses for myself because of anything I was dealing with. And so it was just a hard year. And Johnny Tremain really symbolizes for me everything that it was painful and difficult about that year. And so I hated that book and everything it represented. And And I don't know, I'm making it sound maybe like, when I say it was hard, I was one of the best students in the class, but it didn't matter. Like, there was just, wasn't going to let up on, I wasn't going to be able to coast through anything. It was just like, unless you're giving me your best, it's not good enough. A is not good enough. She was just that kind of person. And so it was just like, there was no escape. As longtime listeners of the show will know, she's now one of the most dear teachers that I've ever had because of all of those things. And it's hard for me to talk about this stuff, I think, without getting emotional. She's just what I needed at the time. And listeners may also remember that a couple years ago, my grandfather died, and she came to his funeral, and we had a long conversation, and it was really sweet. And she's a Christian, and this is in the public schools. So Johnny Tremain has a lot of baggage for me, I guess is what I want to say. And I hated the book, and I thoroughly thought I was going to hate it again.
There was enough baggage that even as an adult in his 30s, you weren't disassociating yourself enough from it to not just assume, oh, that was the worst book ever.
No, I just assumed it legit was the worst book ever, yeah. I was not anticipating any reversal of feeling or even softening of feeling on it. It's like, well, she was great, whatever, but man, she had us read a dumb book. That was dumb. Now, I actually do have maybe some things to say about that we'll come to later. Because that's not an experience that's an experience that seems to be pretty universal.
Yes.
Right? And so I have thoughts on why Johnny Tremain is so universally hated by school children.
I love it. We're threading in these things, and we're going to come back.
Yeah.
But right now we have the cliffhanger of, will Jake like Johnny Tremain? We'll find out. Well, actually, he already told us.
He already said he did, Nathan.
But Brandon, come on. I'm trying to build some drama for
You're not doing a very good job.
Wow. Okay, well, fine.
Hey, just keeping it real, Nathan. Just keeping it real.
Just give your baggage, Brandon.
Fine. 1 star for my baggage.
For who?
Because my baggage is not going to be all that great. I vaguely remember possibly having, at one point in my life, having had Johnny Tremain read to me by my mother, but I don't quite know if that's true.
You vaguely remember, possibly at one point in your life, having Johnny Tremain read to you by your mother, but you're not sure.
But I'm not quite sure. Yeah, and for some reason, this book always had a bad association in my mind with just like these Newbery books, like the Bronze Bow, or those books that.
Yep. Oh, I do.
You're just like, why did I ever have to read that? Or The Trumpeter of Krakow. Like,
call it courage.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I understand why these Newbery Award winners get a bad sort of school library cast to them, and so that's what I was expecting Johnny Tremain to be this time, and was pleasantly surprised it wasn't. So there we have it.
What will Brandon think of Johnny Tremain? We'll find out after Nathan's baggage. I don't really remember. I don't have this isn't a deep Freudian touchstone for me, like with Jake, or I don't have vague Freudian feelings like Brandon has about it. Yeah. Mother issues and things like this. Yeah. I just remember not liking Johnny Tremain. And to this day, I will admit that this is unfair. There are plenty of good Newbery books, but when I see that Newbery Medal, I think exactly what Brandon said. I think musty. I think boring. I think school library.
Yep.
I think the kind of book that authority figures make you read. I think carrots.
It's medicine.
Yeah, it's medicine. It's nutrition. It's nutrition. It's vegetables, and it's not fun. Like all the fun things were like the fantasy books and the action books and Party Boys and box, like all that stuff was cool. Newbery was the boring stuff, and I have a bad taste in my mouth about Call It Courage, about Bronze Bow. They may all be fine, but I just remember them hitting at this certain point in my life where it's like I really wanted to read cool, fun, exciting, escapist literature of some type, and these things just felt like I was learning or something. And so Johnny Tremain is squarely in that camp. I guess the only other baggage I bring to it is I don't like Revolutionary War stories. I find that period off-putting for whatever reason. I'm not really a Revolutionary War buff. I don't know. It's.
Are you not a patriot, Nathan?
Well, Brandon, no one loves America more than I do.
True.
But I like just taking it for granted. I don't like have to think too much about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know. I like learning about the Civil War. I like learning about like all the boring stuff that's on the History Channel. I like World War II. I like Civil War. I like stuff like that. The Revolutionary War, for whatever reason,
Just doesn't do it for you.
just doesn't do it for me as an era that I want to like spend time in. I don't want to watch Revolutionary War movies. I mean, as brilliant of a cinematic masterpiece as Mel Gibson's The Patriot is, I don't find myself returning to it all that often.
Really? I watch it at least once a week.
You watch it at least once a week.
Yeah.
Well, I think most people should.
Yeah.
At least that scene where he puts an axe in that guy's head.
Oh, yeah.
As you know, all our founding fathers were doing things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just not one of those eras that's ever really interested in me. It's like after all the cool ancient stuff, but before all the cool new stuff. Like it's after like medieval stuff with swords and knights and stuff and the Renaissance. It's like, but it's before like modern machinery and modern warfare. And so just as kind of a history buff, that era, that time period has never really done it for me.
Yeah.
And when I imagine it, I imagine like this gross, grody world that smelled bad, and there's just no romance to that era for me. I don't seek it out. So that's kind of sorry if that's like a bizarro take on Johnny Tremain, but I don't know. Like I watch a Revolutionary War movie and I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to watch this. I don't know. I'm sure there's some deep-seated Freudian thing we could get in there for me. I don't know what it is.
Forefather issues.
Very nice, Brandon.
You're welcome.
I award you 2,000 points for that.
When you think about it that way, this book should have been all the more up my alley. I was all about,
Founding fathers and...
Yeah, Revolutionary War, even just... He references, or she references John Locke's essay concerning human understanding and a number of things like that. Like that was the kind of thing that I was like in middle school a couple years later. I was like, I'm going to find that and read it.
Wow.
Like an idiot.
Right.
But I did like all that stuff, like just the political philosophy of the war and everything around it was something that I really felt either drawn to or obligated to be drawn to in a, I had a History Channel dad and a Revolutionary and Civil War buff dad, and just felt like I was a good American. I played baseball. I knew all the history of the...
Right.
I came up to IU with enough credits for a U.S. history minor from high school.
Wow.
And so I have a U.S. history minor. I didn't take a single U.S. history class at IU, but...
There you go. That's how patriotic Jake is.
That's right.
Man.
He sweats U.S. history minors.
One of the fun things about reading this time was just Boston. I've been to Boston 2 or 3 times and walked the Freedom Trail twice. And
wow.
Every summer we would take some kind of vacation. So I had family that lived out on the East Coast, and we'd go and we'd use their home as a base camp, and then we'd go to DC, or we'd go to New York, we'd go to Philadelphia, we'd go to Boston, we'd go to Gettysburg, we'd do something like
somewhere
that.
Historic.
Somewhere historic. We'd see the major tourist stuff, but it was always really built around actually the either a Revolutionary War or a Civil War, something or other.
Wow.
And so
I've never been to Boston.
Yeah. Well,
never been
it's
to
cool.
Boston.
It's cool. I've been to the Old North Church and all that jazz. I've seen Paul Revere's house.
Wow. Man,
all the places in here, like I'm familiar enough to be able to, and I did get to go recently. I was invited out there to speak at a church.
Did you ever buy boxes of Earl Grey and throw them into the harbor?
No, I didn't. Saw a game at Fenway,
Jake, I thought you loved our
which
country.
is just as patriotic.
You saw what?
Saw a game at Fenway. It was Yankees Red Sox actually at Fenway.
Go Yankees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
I just remembered why I hate American history. I want to give an accounting for this. The reason I hate American history is because I was homeschooled, and then I went to a Christian school. The Christian school was just kind of finding its feet, which meant there was teacher turnover and there was curriculum turnover. And I got caught in whatever the opposite of the sweet spot is. I got caught in the place where all those things conspired to make it. So I took stupid American history like 3 or 4 times. And so, and the teachers were bad and didn't get through the material. One of them got fired for not actually getting us to the 20th century like she was supposed to.
Wow.
And so I was learning about the stupid Revolutionary War and the Pilgrims and like all this old American history. and politics and John Locke, all that stuff over and over and over again. And it developed into a hatred for American history and a love for world history. Like anything I could get on ancient Greece, ancient Rome, anything, the Tudors, anything in Europe, I would be really excited about. But
not your
American
country,
history,
though.
I was just so tired and resentful of it. And it's bled into a lifelong hatred of America.
My high school history teacher was a guy named William Bartell, and he's like he's adjunct faculty at the universities down there. He was a history department chair at our high school, and he's like Evansville's preeminent. He's the historian of Evansville, and he's this guy that like shows up to your high school class wearing a Brooks Brothers suit every day, and is brilliant but interesting and really cares, and has this like deep, bassy, resonant voice, but it really teaches sort of Socratically. Like,
yeah, if I'd had that guy, I would love American history.
He was awesome.
I had that guy for other things like literature. I mean, I had some good teachers, but not in history, and specifically not in American history. And teachers, if you're listening, you can make a big difference in whether somebody likes something or hates something.
That they can.
Mm-hmm.
We've said that many times.
We have said that many times. Well, I think that brings us to it, right, boys?
It does.
All right. Well, let's talk about...
My high school history teacher has a Wikipedia page. He's considered the greatest living scholar on Abraham Lincoln's youth in Indiana.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
There you have it.
Man, you can do anything. You can build any career on any part of Lincoln, can't you?
Yep.
You bet, or you used to.
That guy can sell books. Abraham Lincoln. All right, Johnny Tremain. Jake, you just want to lead with your theories? Should we put people out of their misery, or do you want me to generate some organic conversation here, or what?
I can lead out with my...
I think you might as well. But I mean, basically all I have to say about Johnny Tremain is it was good. It was well written. It was not the dumb thing that I remembered. It was a little maybe nutritional. Like, if I was going to bend the book to my will, I'd put a big battle in the end or something like that, just to make it more exciting and less.
Yeah, well, it felt like the kind of exciting that was actually really exciting to Esther Forbes.
Yes.
Like,
what if you were alive during that time and you were in the room with those guys?
Yeah, that would be really cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would be so awesome to be in the room with all these people who are doing all these things. And I'm geeking out about how many like actual details I can slip into this thing. Like, how cool is,
And that stuff was fun. And all the details about just how rowdy and rough and vulgar of a time it actually was were, to this day, as an adult who's aware of history and all that sort of thing, interesting and revealing. And the deromanticizing that she does is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed this book. I had fun with it. I liked it. And I think that my theory on why it's so universally hated is pretty simple. It is just way too much for a fifth grader.
I think that's right.
It's too complex. It's too morally complex and ambiguous.
How old is your average fifth grader?
10, 11.
10, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking about 10 and 11-year-olds here. And you have this romance that's developing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this romance that's developing over the course of the book, and then you have all of these sort of moral complexities and grays where...
You've got a cocky, unlikable lead who takes a while to warm up and become
He's got to be
guy.
humbled. He's got to have his own sort of transformation. And then you've got all of this stuff going on in this city where actually a lot of the Yankees and rebels are kind of nasty and do some nasty things.
And some of the British are good.
And the British are actually good in a lot of places, in a lot of ways. Not all the time, but they're often quite generous and free, and all of that is a whole lot of, and honestly, the vocabulary and...
Yeah, I mean, this book took me longer to read than I was expecting to be able to breeze through this thing in an afternoon. It's a slim volume and a children's book, and it's like, no, you actually have to pay attention to this one, Nathan. You have to think about it. You have to roll it around in your mind a little bit.
Yeah. There are a lot of not just conceptual things and conceptual words that she uses, but just really unconventional words or old-timey words that really do give a sense of the atmosphere of the time, maybe, But man, if you're 10 or 11 years old, yikes, it's a lot to wade through. It's just like stumbling block after stumbling block after stumbling block, just in the vocabulary that's expected of you in the course of this book, or just some of the ideas. Like, you don't understand what it's like on a wharf. She doesn't explain. She just uses these terms about shipping and docks and being a silversmith and all this stuff. She doesn't stop to explain what a crucible is, what's the difference between silver and pewter, what's, some of these things you just like, it requires so much work on your end just to like piece together from context clues, working through as somebody who just doesn't have that much experience of the world or that much experience of literature or that much background knowledge of the time period. Like, there's just a lot that either you bring to it or you have to really work to understand. So it's got that working against it. Then it has just the moral complexities of both the character and the main character and the world that they're in. That is hard. Where at about the age of 10 or 11, what really works and connects are things that I think are much more black and white, much more good and evil, much more light and dark, much more clear and less morally ambiguous. There's a lot of tension. Plus, then again, as I said before, you add these romantic tensions that are going to be miles beyond a 10 or 11-year-old. And you've got a recipe for just like some real frustration in the course of reading this book for a lot of kids, where it's just like, forget this.
Well, and I think as a kid, you're not necessarily going to be like, oh, this is complex. Now I get it. You're going to be like, I actually don't have a grid to know how complex this is, so I'm going to keep expecting it to do the things that I'm used to. So it's like, when's the big battle? When's the bad guy? When's the thing? Yeah. And then you get to the end and you run out of pages and you're just like,
where's the Horcrux?
Where's the Horcrux? He didn't destroy a single Horcrux.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this book?
And so then you've got this tension. These are all the reasons why a teacher who wants to push her students is like, this is why we're doing Johnny
T. Yeah.
Because I know that you need to be challenged by books that are beyond you and above you and are pushing you to think outside of your black and white terms, right? And so a lot of teachers use this book, I assume, I expect, and I don't even really remember this in my own experience. I just remember I don't like that book. That's about all I remember.
Yeah.
But I expect that a lot of Mrs. Culliver, whoever's reasoning was like, hey, this is the book where we're going to turn a corner and open up these kids' minds to this new way of thinking, that the world's not so black and white. Even the Revolutionary War is not so black and white. Everything that you think about, us good guys, them bad guys, like, it was more complicated than that. And the people involved, there were bad guys on the good side and there were good guys on the other side. And everything was like, all of that was like, that's what we're doing here. And it's got all these, challenging things, and we're just going to push kids, and it's above them. But man, when they come out on the other side, they're going to be equipped to read, to move forward and to read greater things. And
not if they hate reading.
Yeah, that may be true, except for if they come out of it hating reading or feeling like, oh, so the world of books that's being open to me is a world of stuffy, nutritional
vegetables,
things that I can't understand, and that's supposed to be like, then you've created a worse problem and you've not really succeeded. This is where, when we talk about Tolkien, I think Tolkien is really, really great for any age of kid, because Tolkien's always above any kid. Tolkien's above us, right? But he's always got something that keeps anybody interested and engaged and pressing on. And so you can read Tolkien to your kids and they are going to grow. And they're going to grow as a reader, and they're going to love it at the same time. And so, man, I really think Johnny Tremain is a great book. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. And I especially enjoyed reading it and finishing it while we're in the middle of this pandemic stuff, because you're talking about a remaking of the world here that everybody knew. nothing was going to stay the same once that first shot was fired. Once the tea was dumped in the harbor, all of these little milestones that like you see, their world is changing. There's a new normal coming, and we have no idea what it is. First, Johnny's hand is something of a precursor to that, a foreshadowing of that. Johnny's hand gets burned, and he has to figure out his new normal. Then he gets sucked into this thing, and then Boston's going to get scarred, and there's going to be, who knows? Everything's up in the air. Nobody knows how things are going to go. And maybe they'll feel like they always were, and maybe they won't, but everything is sort of like, and everybody's got to be flexible. And, we'll go to war. Some of us will die. Some of us won't. But anyhow, I just thought that was it was nice to get sucked in to other people's problems for a while and to see in a weird way in a kid's book, hey, lots of people have lived through.
Reach across the centuries. And
lots of people have lived through lots of stuff.
And people have been here before. They'll be here again.
Yeah. Anyhow, I think that this book would have been good for me to read, and I would have loved it if I had been given it give it another 2 years. Let me hit 12 or 13. Let me start to understand a little bit of the romance at the heart of this. Let me start to hit up on my own against the moral complexities of life. And then this book would have been in the sweet spot. This is a coming of age story for Johnny Tremain, and I wasn't ready for a coming of age story at 10 or 11. 12, 13, 14. And this book is, fits the bill. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it still feels like, well, but couldn't you put in a awesome battle?
And that's how I still feel. I liked it. It was fine. It was good. I wasn't.
You still wanted that awesome battle?
I wanted something. I don't know. There's something about the book to me. This isn't really a criticism, it's just a description of how I kind of processed it. It is like anti-wish fulfillment or something. Like, here's a great guy who's really good at things, and that's going to be completely spoiled through some senseless thing. And then he's going to get to hang out with people, but his life's always going to suck and things are going to... It just felt like a little bit of a downer to me. I don't know. Like, I know on some cosmic scale, Johnny Tremain, joins the fight for a life, liberty, and
does kill his friend,
the pursuit of justice. But yeah, his friend dies. His girl, he hasn't sealed the deal.
Yeah,
his livelihood is ruined, and
he's going to get his hand back.
He's going to get his hand back so that he can pull a trigger, shoot some redcoats. We don't know if he'll ever actually be good enough, if he'll ever have enough of his hand back to be an ace silversmith.
Yeah,
again,
we can imagine it is just very open-ended. Johnny could marry Scylla and could take over Paul Revere's practice and become the best silversmith in Boston, or he could die in the war, or anything could happen.
All sorts of possibilities.
I guess for me, and I'm not arguing with Jake's point of view, I'm just sort of expressing mine. There you go. It's a podcast,
which
folks.
Is different.
Well, for me, it falls in this weird netherworld where it didn't work for me as a kid, but as an adult, it's like, okay, if I want to be depressed and learn about history, I can probably find a 500-page actual adult book that will really challenge me. Like, this doesn't have enough of what's fun about literature for me as a kid. It also doesn't have enough of quite what's nutritious about literature for me as an adult. So I agree with Jake that if it had hit me at the exact right age, I would have loved it. I feel like now I'm kind of over it, which is where me and Jake disagree, I guess. But it was good. I mean, I could, if I was Jake, I would feel the way Jake feels. I mean, honestly, I'm me, so I feel the way I feel.
Wow.
But
profound.
I mean, I mean, I don't begrudge or disagree with anyone who loves it or likes it or thinks it's great.
Well,
it just, and I enjoyed it. I had, it was good.
I think the other thing maybe to say, maybe context is, I was ready for some light reading coming out of Tolstoy and Austen back to back.
Right.
Maybe you weren't. Maybe you didn't need a breather.
Yeah. Nathan just always wants the dense, good stuff.
You got a mind as fast and as facile as mine. You got to keep it challenged,
And I think the other thing is, in context, compared to all the other children's literature that we've read.
I will agree with that.
I mean,
short of E.B. White, who's a genius.
We've read a lot of trash children's literature or children's literature that just doesn't live up to anything worth. And this is not that.
No, this is a good book. This is a quality book. I think where I would disagree with you is you said great. And
Did I?
I let the record show.
Okay.
You may have said great. I don't remember.
Well, whether you would stand by that or not, I don't think I'd give it quite the ringing.
Well, I did say
endorsement.
great because or at least implied it when I put Esther Forbes up there with Shakespeare and Tolkien.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think I could quite do that, Jake.
Could just be the Kaga hat you're wearing.
Yeah, the Kaga hat.
I think it's just CAG.
Jake finally had to replace his MAGA hat.
Great.
He actually just crossed out the M and wrote a K.
Yeah.
Brandon, what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, weigh in, man. Brandon, you famously dumped silver all over your hand, and
I did.
you can't
So
use
here,
it.
brief thoughts. Here, just since we're all just telling our feelings today.
Yeah.
We're just telling the way. So I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I thought it was fine. I think I'm kind of somewhere in between you guys.
I'm not a hater, though. I don't want to get branded as the Johnny
you
T
really,
hater.
you really think this is an awful book? It's fine, Nathan. People can have their opinions, and I'm sorry you just really hate Joy.
Yeah. Well, it's not all a picnic for me hating Joy.
Yeah. So what I enjoyed about the book, I enjoyed the complexity of it, how it showed I think it was you were saying that it showed that not everything was nice and pristine at that time, that it showed sort of I don't want to say gritty. I just don't want to say gritty. It showed
it's a word worth avoiding, but it is a word that accurately describes what you're
So I enjoyed that. The story was good. It was engaging. Her writing style was fine. I liked it. I do think that there were some things about it that were probably over a 10, 11-year-old child's head. I would be curious to give it to my son, see what he thinks. He's right at that age where he's coming of age, about to turn 13. So it might be the perfect time to give it to him. But I just kept thinking, and this is going to be unfair, but going back to what Jake was saying, I had...
Are you about to compare Tolstoy?
No.
Okay.
I'm not at all.
Okay.
I'm actually about to say, yes, we just read Tolstoy, we just read Austen. And I agree. I was kind of ready for some adventure, and I was getting it somewhere else. And I was much more eager to get into that story instead of this one.
Would that be Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun with the Fellowship of the Ring.
Me
and
too. What a great
I
book.
was just getting kind of mad that I had to
Plot
go and spend time with Paul Revere when I could just be off of Frodo and the Barrow Whites.
Well, I'm ahead of you because I've been reading it to my kids, and we're in Return of the King now. So I've been living with Tolkien as my...
Tolkien. I love Tolkien. The Russian fantasist.
Yeah.
As
I can imagine if Tolstoy wrote The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, man. It'd be so boring. Back in the Shire, 500 pages happened.
He would never get out of the Shire.
No, he'd never get out of the Shire. Here's 900 pages on somebody's birthday. Anyway.
Well, the whole point would be it doesn't really matter what happened with Sauron and whatever else. The Shire life went on as it always did.
Yeah.
That'd be one way of writing that book. Oh, brother. What were you saying, though, Jake? Something about Tolkien.
I was only saying that I've been...
Oh, yeah, you've read.
I said what I had to say.
You said what you had to say.
So that's where that was, since we're all just kind of providing the headspace we were in at the time, that's where I was.
Well, I think it's accurate for us to all just talk about our feelings, because the fact is, I think we all agree this book was fine. It did what it was supposed to. It was good, even. I'll go so far.
I guess if people are picking up on a lack of eager involvement from me, that's why. Because I liked the book. I thought it was fine, but the whole time I was in it, I was like, I really kind of just want to get through this.
Right.
It's fine. It's great. And I like it, but there's something else that I'd rather be reading at this point.
Yeah, I don't see myself reading this if the Bookening doesn't make me read it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I would have. And I'm not upset that the Bookening...
I wouldn't have either.
And I'm not irritated that the Bookening made me read it. I think that people should read it. I think it's a great book for you to add to your curriculum, for your students to read, for your kids to read at home. I think it'd be a fun one to read together as a family if you're looking for something to read. But I was wanting to get back into Tolkien. Yeah. So,
well, is there anything else we want to say about Johnny Tremain? Anything that stood out to us?
I don't think so. There's not really a whole lot to say about it beyond.
No. It does a good job of coloring in your perceptions of the Revolutionary War, of giving you some of the grit, for lack of a better word, of the time.
I think if I were from Massachusetts, or especially Boston, I don't know, maybe Bostonian kids are like, we know all this. We grew up, we took the tours. We don't need to read the book about it.
I know Johnny. He's my best friend.
Yeah. That's your Boston.
I went to school with him,
Yeah. Dump some tea in the harbor.
Me and Johnny, we go way back.
These two Bostonians just walked into the studio. It was crazy.
I'll burn your hands. You look at me crossways.
So not Boston.
You know what I mean?
Just amazing Boston.
You talking to me?
Yeah, you
You're
talking.
You talking to me? Hey, George Washington over here, crossing the Delaware. Man. Okay. I don't know. Shall we do donor shout-outs? Is there anything anyone else wants to say about Johnny Tremain? I want to give people their Johnny Tremoney's worth. Am I proud of that one? Yes, I am. Folks. Very much.
No, the only thing I'd say is I really think people should give it a shot. If you have a bad taste in your brain associated with this book, get over it. Go read it.
Yeah, well, that is absolutely. If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that this book is not the terrible book that we all remember from our childhood. This is
not at all.
This is a good book, and it's worth reading. How many muskets?
23
out of 1,000. Wow,
it's kind of
Brendan's
low.
a hater. Jake, how many muskets out of
War
1,000?
and Peace only gets 31 out of 1,000.
Muskets out of 1,000?
Yeah,
I don't know.
633 is what I'm giving it.
I'm going to give it 850.
850. Wow.
If we're comparing it to other Newbery Award winning sort of things you have to read in school.
Oh, it's one of the better ones of those, I guess.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a cut above most of what's out there. Most of what I've read, at least.
Is there anything else I really liked about this book? I'm trying to think if there's anything specifically like from the book that just stood out to me. Really, the things that I took away from it were, the revolutionary guys were jerks too. Like they were just beating up people and being subversive. Like they were the terrorists of their time.
Yeah, you've got that whole scene where
you liberal.
You get the whole scene where they're vandalizing some Tory's property, and so he runs out to defend his property, and
you don't even know what happened.
You don't know what happened, but you know that Johnny is scared to go out because they hear the guy you hear the guy screaming, and
Esther Forbes didn't pull her punches.
No, it's good. I like
people are getting run out of town on rails and tarred and feathered. And
okay, here's something that's maybe worth talking about for 3 minutes. Do you guys like his friend, this guy, this Rab or whatever? I didn't really know what Esther Forbes was trying to do. I felt like if she'd been a man, she could have written that character properly or something like that.
Rab's is sort of like, I mean, he's a trope, right? He's that.
Which trope is he, though?
He's kind of a feminine trope, actually. He's the angelic creature that is otherly and stands above.
He's like the Jane Fairfax of this book, or the Helen.
He's like the Helen, who's is going to die because he's just sort of this like otherworldly big brother kind of.
Yeah, it's interesting when Dickens does it. You get guys who are a little bit more complicated, like the Artful Dodger, or
I was going to say so there's the Artful Dodger. You know who actually came to my mind? The mouse that takes Fievel under his wing in American.
Oh, sure. Hey, he's kind of
an Artful Dodger, yeah.
Yeah, it's that, but is that more like that Artful Dodger type? But those kids tend to just have a little bit more of a sly streak.
Well, that's what I expected when Rab showed up. I was like, okay, here's like this street smart, sly guy that's going to teach Johnny the ropes, and then maybe he'll die or something. But then he ends up being this kind of otherly, more spiritual kind of a character, and I didn't quite know what to make of that.
Doomed to die.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like he's not got his rough around the edges parts. Like,
no, he does, but they're all like,
he's gonna see Scylla on the sly and keep it from Johnny, but he's like,
it's a little bit like what I feel. And maybe women feel this way reading all the books written by men, but it's a little bit like what I feel when I read Rowling. 95%, she gets 95% of the way there, but she doesn't quite understand what Ron and Harry's relationship would actually be like.
Yeah.
Or how they would think about each other and what their fights especially would be like.
They're a little bit girly.
They're just a little bit girly. And it's not bad. It's like she's observed boys pretty accurately, but then she hasn't been able to make that final 5% leap to really get into a boy's head. And this kind of felt the same to me. Like Rab and Johnny made sense symbolically, made sense structurally, didn't quite make sense on the ground. Realistically. Yeah.
Well, not everybody can be a Tolstoy.
No, not everybody.
I did it.
Yeah, you compared it to Tolstoy. Not everybody can be a Tolstoy. He just gets into everybody's heads. The horse, the women,
the dogs.
Wow, I need to add something to that sentence. And the men. That was a really bad sentence if we were going to leave it at the horse, the women, the dogs. That would have been I should have just let Brandon end the sentence and see if he got stuck with that.
The dogs.
Yeah.
You should have, but you didn't.
But I wanted to clean that one up, folks. Brandon may believe that women belong with horses and dogs in the category of creatures.
Oh, I get it now.
I think women are
I get it
wonderful.
now. I get the problem. I wasn't quite.
Brandon didn't even see.
Yeah,
the
Brandon didn't even see a
Yeah.
problem. He's just like, yeah, of course.
Women, dogs, and men. I mean, women, dogs, and horses.
Women,
man.
dogs,
Yeah.
and horses. The three,
What you gonna
the
do,
three
you know?
categories of animals.
What you gonna do about them? You know,
The three pack animals.
yeah, come home sometime. I'm like, yeah.
No, I like women. I think they're great. And dogs and horses. But I think dogs and horses not as important as women. Now,
I keep my wife in a
Very
stable
big of
too.
you.
What you gonna do about it? You know?
do you keep your wife in a stable?
Yeah.
Give her an apple every now and then, I hope. Some sugar.
Bag of oats if she's good.
A bag of oats? Okay, well, to each his own. All right. On that wonderful note, let's shout out our patrons. Now, in order to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/The Bookening. You sign up to support us at least the $10 level. Many other levels you can choose from. But the $10 level will get you a donor shout out like the type that we are about to engage in.
Maybe our most popular level outside.
Outside of getting yourself a book signed.
Yeah, there's two kind of competing popular levels, and one's the $50 level.
Yeah, the $50 level gets you a shout out, but it also gets you a signed copy of a book every month.
But
Right.
we're getting
Quality.
way too many of those to sign, guys. Stop signing up at
No,
that level.
it's a good problem.
It's way too many. I'm tired of finding creative things to say to you. guys.
Hashtag give Brandon carpal tunnels. That's the goal. Now, should we shout him out? Was the $10 level, was there anything else we need to say about that?
No, we need to shout out Emily.
Yes, and Emily, your name is EMILY because you're awesome and an artist, and we love your art.
Great.
That's her name.
Perfect.
Okay.
Are you guys going to shout her out or what?
EMIL, you're
Emily!
because you're an artist and we love you and your art. Was that close?
That was basically it.
Great.
Emily, this is your one free shout out.
Hey, you want more shout outs? You got to pony up. Nothing's free, darling. Well, yeah, no, nothing's free. Some things are free.
Air.
Freedom's not free. I'll
Air
tell
is
you that
free.
much. I'm just going to go through this list pretty quick, but
Hey.
you guys say patriotic things in the background. How about that? Robert and Rhonda the Lovebird.
Hey, it's
Yankee
like,
Doodle went to town.
The Artful
Yeah,
Anthony
he did.
Dodger.
Riding on a pony.
Yeah.
Little Anthony Cigar Store.
Stuck a feather in his cap.
Right in
the
that
Immortal
cap.
Chelsea E.
Called it macaroni.
That's
Jimmy
not
Beam and Little
patriotic.
Annie Oakley.
Yankee Doodle.
Lily of the Valley.
Keep it up.
Andrew and Esther the Lovebirds.
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
The Keith Master.
Mind the music.
Something about the maidens.
And
Keep the maidens
That's
handing.
mind the music
Okay, the Keith Master.
and the step.
The David's Mighty Men Trucking.
and with the girls.
the John and Jill and Little Baby Max.
Be handy.
Yeah.
Jay and Katie, who are cold and love cheese, and also C.S. Lewis, including Till We Have Faces.
Father and I went down
Fairy, Princess of Wonder and Happiness, Mother Beth.
to camp
To Georgia.
Council Prime Adam.
along with Captain
He was looking for a soul
Jack the Dark-Hooded Lord of Death.
Gooding.
to steal.
Nathan, not me.
There were all
He was in a bind.
Maya! Ryan the Red Avenger and Judith of the Ladies of Justice.
the men and boys.
He
Danny the Dude.
As thick
Was
as
DJ Sammy G.
hasty pudding.
way
Benny and Danny Tiberius.
Yankee Doodle, keep it up.
behind.
Eric and Catherine from Yon Window Breaks.
Yankee Doodle
He-
Dandy.
Professor and Lady X.
Was.
Mind the music and the step.
Lavender's green, Dylan, lavender's blue. Lavender's green, Dylan, I love you too.
And with the girls
Looking.
being handy.
Noah Constructor.
To
Very
And
cheap.
there was
make.
The Fair and Fragrant Maiden Chloe.
Captain Washington.
Six pack sick with a mean attack, and Catherine with a neck for laying down the pack.
Deal.
Upon a strapping stallion.
Anthony who's cold and hates life, liberty, and the pursuit of cheese.
Way down.
Giving orders to his men.
Jiu-Jitsu Jeffrey, the Texas
Yonder.
Ranger.
I guess there were a million.
Rachel.
Leopard Tank Thomas.
Yankee
Cheddar.
Doodle, keep it up.
Midnight Ninja Ellen.
Yankee
Hoochie.
Doodle Dandy.
Green Kangetta. Return of the Jedediah.
And with the girls be handy.
Jay of Rack and Ruin.
Yankee Doodle
America
is
the
a
Beautiful.
tune
Timothy, the Rider at Dawn.
that comes
Tis
in mighty handy.
My country, 'tis of thee.
Eric and Kate, the Camp Champ Kings, who are warm and love bees.
Oh,
The
say.
enemy all runs away at.
Thank you, Eric and Kate. We love you. Maddie, Matt Man.
Can you
Yankee
see
Doodle Dandy.
Sweet Jamie Sunshine.
by
Yankee
the
Doodle, keep it
dawn's
up.
Tyler, the keeper of eternal darkness. And Laura, the keeper of eternal light.
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Cold Steel Cody.
What so proudly?
Mind the music and the step.
And Jake, normally you'd have to end in an extremely unsatisfying manner without giving the last lyric. But we've got a new patron.
What?
Yay!
Who is it?
Hashtag timing.
Hashtag timing. Guys, let's welcome
Jake knew this all along.
the lovely Jacqueline to
Jacqueline.
the patron family.
Welcome, Jacqueline.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Jacqueline,
Jacqueline.
I will be calling you the Librarian Barbarian.
Nice. I like that. Jacqueline, the librarian barbarian.
And with the girls be handy.
Oh,
You do that, Jacqueline. You are a girl, so you just be handy like you normally would, I guess.
Good advice.
Thanks, Brandon. Bookening today, written and produced by me. I take all the credit today. I did it all. Jake and Brandon were my puppets. They were reading from teleprompters. I mean, they would have been if they couldn't, if they could read. Actually, I had to feed them the lines and then cut out the part where they just repeated what I said.
He fed us lions.
I fed them the lions. Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'll be back. Oh boy,
He was dreaming of the lions.
we'll be back next week with some Lord of the Rings.
Sad last night.
Who's dreaming of the lions again?
Who was it, Nathan? Who was dreaming of the lions? Come on. Pop
It's
quiz.
the old man.
The old man.
Oh, the old man, of course.
Last line of that book. He was dreaming of the lions.
Yep, I remember that.